Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into Adelphi, a name you hear whispered with, well, a certain reverence among whiskey fans. We really want to get under the skin of what makes them special, from how they pick their whiskeys to starting their own distillery and even these fascinating international projects. Think of this as your way to quickly grasp why they have this incredible reputation, the sort of philosophy behind it all.
Absolutely. And it's more than just the whiskey itself, though we'll definitely get into that. It's a great case study, really, in how history, careful craft, and some really smart innovation combine to build this dedication to quality you see in every bottle. It's a whole mindset.
And that dedication, it clearly connects with people who know their stuff. Like Andy Clark from the Herald newspaper in Scotland. He wrote, Adelphi is like the Lynn of hi-fi, the Aston Martin of notaring, the Gleneagles of hotels, basically. If you see anything with that name on a bottle, you know you're in for a serious treat.
Oh, I mean, for a whiskey bottler, that's a huge praise, isn't it? How do they even build that kind of trust? Well, what's fascinating here is how deep their roots actually go. That kind of sets the stage. Adelphi wasn't originally a bottler. It started way back 1826 as a distillery near the River Clyde in Glasgow. It ran for years, then closed down in the early 1900s.
Okay, so a proper old name.
Right. Then, much later, in 1993, the name was brought back by a new company, set up specifically as an independent bottler. And for anyone maybe not familiar, that means they don't make the whiskey themselves, typically. Instead, they hunt down and bottle amazing casks from other distilleries under their own Adelphi label. And from day one, their approach was crystal clear. Only bottle the absolute best. No compromises. And that focus, that single-mindedness, is why they're now seen as, well, Scotland's top bottler for rare single cask and limited edition single malts.
Wow, okay, so a history stretching back centuries, then this revival in the 90s, and now this top reputation. That's quite a story. But how do they actually do that when they're dealing with casks from all over? How do they make sure the quality is always that high? What does the best mean to Adelphi?
It means being incredibly, almost painfully selective. They really don't compromise. Think about this. They might test around, say, 25 different casks.
Okay.
And often, only one single cask will actually meet their standards.
So it's 1 out of 25?
Sometimes, yeah.
Clear.
It works out that less than 4% of all the casks they sample get the Adelphi label.
Wow. That's strict.
It really is. It's not just about making it rare. It's about ensuring that anything with their name on it is genuinely exceptional. Imagine having to say no that often. Adelphi's manager, Alex Bruce, he often works with Charles McLean, a really respected whiskey writer, tasting, evaluating.
So expert palates involved.
Definitely. And another key thing, when they do select a whiskey, it's bottled at cask strength. That means straight from the barrel, no water added to dilute it. You get the full, intense flavor. Plus, no artificial coloring, no chill filtration. It's the authentic taste exactly as it was in the cask.
Right, the pure expression.
Exactly. And look at who they've bottled from. Mortlach, Caol Ila, Bowmore, Bunnahabhain. They've done both the smoky peated style and the unpeated from Bunnahabhain Macallan, Highland Park, Ardmore. These are iconic distilleries. It shows the kind of access they have and the trust these big names place in Adelphi.
So being that selective, it must mean the experience of drinking at Adelphi is quite different, right? Compared to a standard distillery release.
That's a really good point. Yes, absolutely. It means when you taste an Adelphi bottling, you're tasting what their expert panel decided was the absolute peak expression of that specific cask. It's hyper-curated.
Like a snapshot of perfection.
Kind of, yeah. And naturally, because they choose so few casks, the quantities are tiny, which leads to high demand. And yeah, they sell out fast. Very exclusive stuff.
Okay, so they mastered independent bottling, which makes it even more interesting that for the first time in over a century, Adelphi is actually making its own whiskey again. They've returned to distilling.
Yeah, and if you look at the bigger picture, it makes total sense. There's this huge global boom in demand for top-quality single malt whiskey. So Adelphi saw the opportunity, the strategic sense, in controlling their own production from scratch. That demand is really what pushed them to go back to their roots and build the Ardnamurchan distillery.
Right, out on the Ardnamurchan Peninsula.
Yeah.
Beautiful spot, apparently.
It is very wild and remote. And to introduce people to their style, they released the Ardnamurchan Spirit series first.
Yes, I remember those. That was like a preview, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Showing their sherry maturation direction.
Precisely. They use some interesting casks. These small, experimental 55-liter American oak ex-sherry octaves.
55 liters? That's tiny. Must mature fast.
Very fast interaction with the wood, yeah. And they also used Spanish oak ex-sherry hogsheads and butts. Those are larger, giving different maturation profiles. It let them experiment and show people what they were aiming for. The first couple of releases, the 2016 AD and 2017 AD, were just 2,500 bottles worldwide each.
Tiny amounts.
Then they doubled it to 5,000 for the 2018 and 2019 ones. And that AD on the bottle stands for Anno Domini, but also Ardnamurchan Distillery. A nice touch.
Clever. So experimenting with wood, but in today's market, people want to know exactly what they're getting right. Provenance, authenticity. How did Ardnamurchan tackle that?
This leads to something really quite groundbreaking. You're right, transparency is huge now. So Ardnamurchan introduced, back in 2017, world-first blockchain traceability for their whiskey.
Gotcha. In whiskey.
Yeah. You scan a QR code on the back label with your phone.
Okay.
And it lets you trace everything. Literally, from the field the barley grew in, through the whole production process, right to the bottling.
No way.
Seriously. Each bottle has its own unique code, a digital certificate. It boosts security for everyone, cuts out counterfeiting worries. But more than that, it's Adelphi setting a new standard for openness in luxury goods. It's verifiable trust. It changes what provenance means.
That is genuinely innovative.
Isn't it? And on top of that, the 2017 AV bottle itself won a Scottish Design Award for its packaging.
They were really hitting the ground running.
They were. And the tasting notes from that time sound amazing, too. Things like honey roasted nuts, Christmas spice sultanas, baked apples, custard creams, licorice all sorts, nutmeg, bit of rock salt, even smoldering driftwood. Really complex.
Makes you want to try it. And I guess 2020 was a big year then. They'd have had spirit maturing for a while by then.
Yeah, 2020 was key. They had whiskey that had reached 6 years old in the cask by then, and the plan was to release their proper inaugural single malt whiskey towards the end of that year. A major milestone.
So Ardnamurchan is pushing the boundaries of Scottish single malt. But Adelphi's vision seems even broader. They're not just looking inwards, they're looking outwards, building bridges with other cultures through this fusion whiskey series. And it starts with quite a story, doesn't it? About a Scot named Thomas Blake Glover.
Oh, Glover's story is incredible. Born in Fraserburgh and up in Scotland, moved east to Japan when he was just a teenager. This was after Japan and Britain signed the Treaty of Amity and Commerce in 1858, opening things up. Glover became this huge figure in introducing Western trade and industry to Japan.
Like founding companies.
Yeah, companies that eventually became giants, including Mitsubishi. He was the first non-Japanese person to get the Order of the Rising Sun Award from the Emperor.
Wow.
And he's still a massive deal in Japan. His house in Nagasaki gets something like 2 million visitors a year.
Incredible legacy. So how does Adelphi come into this?
Well, in 2015, Adelphi was basically asked to create a new whiskey brand to celebrate Glover's life. The idea sounded simple enough. Blend Scotch whiskey with Japanese whiskey.
Simple idea, maybe not simple to execute.
Exactly. Finding the right Japanese whiskey, figuring out the blending process within the UK rules, it was tricky. But Adelphi figured it out. They developed a method and managed to get a hold of some extraordinarily rare Japanese whiskey.
Must have been hard to find.
Oh, extremely. So they launched in 2015 an ultra-premium 22-year-old Glover and a premium 14-year-old. Launched them at the same time in Aberdeen and Tokyo. Got huge press, BBC, primetime news, the works. Sold out. Overnight. Both versions. Gone.
Just like that. That's not just a launch. That's proof of concept, big time. And it wasn't just a one-off project.
No, they've done 3 more Glovers since then, and they expanded the idea. They started doing collaborative blends with other countries, too. There's the Winter Queen with the Netherlands, the Brisbane with Australia, and the E&K blending Scotch with Indian whiskey.
Fascinating. So what's the connecting thread?
The theme is always the same. The whiskey is named after a Scot who had a major influence in that partner country. It's about celebrating those historical links.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
And the long-term vision here is pretty cool. It's not just about celebrating these relationships now. The goal is eventually to use their own Ardnamurchan single malt as the Scottish component in all these future fusion whiskeys.
Right. So weaving their own distillery's future into these international partnerships. Very smart.
Exactly. It ties everything together.
So you've got the super selective independent bottlings, the innovative Ardnamurchan distillery, these global fusion projects. What else is there? How else can someone, a discerning customer, engage with Adelphi beyond just buying the standard releases?
That's a good question. Well, besides their main ranges, they also do bespoke bottling services. So they can select and bottle a unique single cask malt just for a private individual or maybe a company, a one-of-a-kind whiskey.
Personalized whiskey, essentially.
Pretty much. And they also have their Adelphi private stock blended scotch. It's a highly regarded blend.
Yeah.
And they offer that for bespoke labeling, too. So you get their acclaimed blend, but with your own unique label. Great for corporate gifts or special occasions.
Okay. Is there a story behind that private stock blend?
There is actually quite a charming one. It apparently came about because a former owner's grandmother asked for it. She just wanted a good, reliable Adelphi whiskey for everyday drinking, and they didn't really have one at the time.
So it was created out of a simple request.
Seems so. And now it's this critically acclaimed blend. It just shows, doesn't it? Sometimes the best ideas come from genuine need, not just market strategy.
That's brilliant. And one more thing I've seen mentioned. Sometimes Adelphi releases whiskies from unnamed casks. What's that about?
Ah, yes. That's quite common in the independent bottling world. Sometimes famous distilleries allow bottlers like Adelphi to use their whiskey, but they don't want their distillery name on the label. It's about protecting their main brand identity.
So you might be drinking whiskey from a big name, but it's not labeled as such.
Exactly. Talisker, Glenfarclas, Lagavulin. They're known to do this sometimes. Adelphi has specific bottlings like Breath of Islands, Breath of Speyside, Breath of Islay, Fascadale. These often represent amazing quality from well-known places, but under Adelphi's own thematic name. It can be a great way to experience that quality, maybe even at a slightly different price point.
Interesting. Where would you typically find these, or Adelphi in general?
Good specialist retailers are key. For instance, a place like Whisky.dk, they're huge in Denmark, both online and physical stores. They're known for their expertise and massive selection, including Adelphi. Having stockists like that shows the kind of reach and respect Adelphi commands.
It really feels like we've covered a lot of ground here, from Adelphi's deep historical roots, that incredibly tough selection process for their single casks, through to launching the Ardent Merchant distillery with its blockchain tech, and then these really imaginative fusion whiskeys connecting Scotland to the world. It seems like every bottle they release really is packed with, well, craftsmanship, history, and this relentless focus on quality.
It really is.
Yeah.
And, it raises an interesting question, doesn't it? When you think about all that the history, selecting less than 4% of casks, the blockchain, the cultural blends, how does that change how you see just, a bottle of whiskey? Suddenly, it's not just a drink. It's a whole narrative, isn't it? A story of passion, incredible precision, this constant striving for excellence. Makes you wonder, perhaps, what other everyday things might have these rich hidden stories behind them if we just, took a deeper dive.